unkillable, unstoppable, invincible, god tier, zero effort tank build. These are extremely common buzzwords that circulate in the context of surviving the apocalypse difficulty, but I've yet to see a single video that used these words that wasn't straight up lying to you. In addition to none of these builds having ever been optimized for their EHP, meaning that they're still susceptible to one-shot attacks, the worst part about them is that they all make it sound like resonating hard is actually good. It's not. I fully expect, given the popularity of Resonating Heart, that I'm going to get some keyboard warriors up in my comments telling me what an idiot I am, but just give me a moment to explain, because in the context of relic chugging builds, Resonating Heart is one of the worst possible choices you could make. A quick note though before getting into the breakdown. The background footage is an Apocalypse Annihilation fight, using a build I had actually created to use specifically for this video, but since both a breakdown on Resonating Heart and a build guide would have made this video extremely long, I decided to separate it. While I will reference the build several times in relation to Resonating Heart to explain why it's piping hot garbage, I will not actually give a build guide in this video. If you want a breakdown on the build being used in the background as well as how it works, I will have a link to its build guide down in the description below. Getting into the breakdown though, we're going to do 4 things to start. The first of which is addressing healing over time misinformation. Then we're going to explain how Resonating Heart works, how you guys are exploiting it without realizing it, and why it still sucks even with the exploit. Healing over time misinformation though. Let's say a relic like Crystal Heart at base heals 100% of your maximum health over 10 seconds. I've literally watched a build guide where the YouTuber told his viewers that that means that you heal 100% of your maximum health every second. That is not what that means. 100% of your maximum health over 10 seconds means that 100% gets broken up over each second in the 10-second time frame, meaning that you're only healing 10% of your maximum health per second in that period. Healing over time is not healing every second. Just keep that in mind. But on to how Resonating Heart works. At base, Resonating Heart will heal you for 50% of your maximum health over 5 seconds. And as we just discussed, that means you get healed 10% of your maximum health every second for 5 seconds. Then, you have a 20-second period in which all health that was overhealed, meaning any health that went beyond 100% of your maximum health in that 5-second period, is doubled and given back to you over those 20 seconds. Note that it says overhealed. This does not mean that any healing done in 5 seconds is doubled. This means that only healing done over your 100% maximum health threshold will actually get doubled and rewarded over 20 seconds. So let's pretend we don't get hit at all, and we factor in relic efficacy and healing effectiveness. The 50% base goes up to 97.75 rewarded over 5 seconds, meaning that you get healed 12.22% of your maximum health every second. Assuming all of that gets to be overhealed, then it gets doubled and returned to you over 20 seconds as 195.5% maximum health over 20 seconds. So your healing then is 9.78% max health per second. So your healing without external factors is actually worse in the 20-second time frame than it is in the 5-second time frame. Now I'm sure at this point someone is already upset and already typing a comment saying, hey, you can't do that, Vash, you're calculating the baseline heal without external factors, when external factors are obviously a pretty huge part of how this relic heals. And trust me, I know. But it doesn't matter how much healing you're able to achieve normally within that 5-second period, it will never, ever equate to the amount of healing that you guys are achieving with an exploit. So let's get on to how the exploit works and how you guys are doing it. Because Resonating Heart is able to double dip into its own healing within that 5-second time frame, but only under a specific set of circumstances. Let's say I use the relic to start. Obviously, I'm going to have my 5 seconds of heal, and then my 20 seconds of the overheal being doubled and returned. But let's say we use another Resonating Heart when there are 5 seconds or less on the 20-second timer. This means we're going to get healed for our 5-second heal. We're going to get healed for the remaining 20-second overheal that's still left. And because the 20-second overheal will expire by the time the 5-second heal finishes, it won't find any 20-second overheal active, and because of that, it assumes that all healing done is valid healing, meaning that both your 5-second initial heal and all healing done within the remaining 5 seconds of the 20-second heal get factored in. But what does that mean? To explain that, I've given a quick breakdown. Basically, our 5 seconds will initially heal us for 97.75%. That gets doubled and returned to us over 20 seconds, meaning that we get 195.5% healed over 20 seconds. 5 seconds of that equates to 48.875%. This means if we use the relic again in the remaining 5 seconds of the 20-second overheal, we not only get the 97.75 from our initial 5-second heal, but we also get the remaining 5 seconds of the 20-second heal, meaning we get 97.75 plus 48.885 sheet, meaning that our total healing achieved in the 5-second time frame was not 97% as it should be. It means that it was 146% because it's double dipping with itself. 146% gets doubled and returned to us as 293.25% health over 20 seconds. Meaning in this one move, we have added an additional 100% maximum health healed over 20 seconds. And the more you use this, the more it's able to scale into itself. And that's all the rest of this is. But it doesn't just double dip with the relic only healing. Obviously, as we just mentioned, external factors are a large part of how this relic works. So it's not only double dipping into the healing of the relic alone, it's double dipping into the healing of all the lifesteal you do, all the passive health regen that you do. It's double dipping into all of it and feeding into itself, so long as you use the relic while there are at least 5 seconds remaining on the 20-second heal. The reason I say this is an exploit is because if you use the relic when there are longer than 5 seconds, this doesn't happen. Instead, when the 5 seconds are up, it detects that an overheal is still there, and it doesn't do it. Factor in external healing factors that aren't the relic, like lifesteal or passive regen, and it is actually possible to get healing amounts so high that you actually regenerate 100% of your maximum health per second. But why? Why, in spite of that, do I still say that Resonating Heart is fucking garbage? And the answer is complicated. It's got a lot to it, I'm not gonna lie. But put simply, it is that healing does not tank. Healing helps you recover after taking hits, but it doesn't allow you to take the hit in the first place. It doesn't matter if you heal 1000 health per second if you only have 200 effective health and the boss does 300 damage. You're still going to die. You are not unkillable, you are not unstoppable, invincible, or any of the above. If you build too hard into healing, all you're doing is trolling yourself. Real quick in regards to EHP though, I have an entire other video covering that in depth, and while I still recommend that you go and watch that, an extremely simple TLDR would simply be that effective health is the amount of damage it takes to one-shot you. So if you have no damage reduction but you have 100 health, then you have 100 effective health. If you have 50% damage reduction, then you have 200 effective health, because it takes twice as much damage to kill you. But if you have the 80% cap of damage reduction, then you have 500 effective health, because it takes 5 times as much damage to kill you. That is the basis for EHP, or effective health as we will call it. This is important to understand though, because it goes hand in hand with meaningful healing. And if you don't get what I mean by that, meaningful healing is basically just, let's say you have no DR and you have 50% healing. 50% healing is only going to restore 50 EHP since you only have 100 EHP. But let's say you're at the cap. 50% healing is going to restore 250 EHP instead of the 50 that it was before. So the more damage reduction that you have, the more EHP you get, the more meaningful your percent healing becomes. And a good example will be something I'll show in a moment, because there will be times where you see a lower percent healing achieved, but that lower percent healing achieved means way more than having crazy healing out the ass. And a great example would be comparing the build that I have on in the background to the build that I criticized in the DR and EHP video. I don't mean to beat a dead horse criticizing this build, it's just a really great example because it was purported as an unkillable tank zero effort build, but in the end it's still made of paper. We can illustrate this by showing that with my setup I have 310 more effective health than they do. And even though I am healing for far, far less when I use my relic, I only heal for 280% of my max health when I use my relic, that's the total healing over time, they have to achieve almost 1000% healing in order to get an average EHP heal that is the same as mine. So not only do I have 50 health less than they do, I have 60 less armor than they do, but I have 310 more EHP than they do, and I still have the equivalent EHP healing that they do, if they manage to somehow climb to 1000% healing with Resonating Heart. Except while they're jumping through hoops, still dying in one hit to some boss attacks, trying to crank their healing up, I achieved that same healing with one single button press. In terms of meaningful healing, Crystal Heart is just king. There's nothing that can surpass it. Now, someone to try and counter that is going to say, okay, well, what if you don't use a stupid build? And what if you instead try to use a build with Resonating Heart at the 80% damage cap and with equivalent EHP? And I've actually done that, which is this build over on the right here. I've maximized my damage reduction as much as I could, and I got the same EHP as the build running in the background. And while it is better than the build I was criticizing earlier, you still have to achieve 700% total healing. Anyone thinking that they can achieve this without the exploit is on some gigacopium. You could take off the neck, lose some DR, and spec into relic efficacy instead by putting on Ninue's ribbon, which would change the relic efficacy to 65% instead of 15%, and sure, that would bolster your healing. But now you've lost EHP. If you try to compensate the DR loss by switching onto one of your rings, you're going to lose health. Basically, every way that a build gets used involving Resonating Heart is going to be even worse than what I have shown here, requiring absurd amounts of heal values in order to get what Crystal Heart gets in a single press, with way less build effort, way less combat effort, and in addition, because you're using your relic more often, you get to take advantage of your relic perk more frequently, like Engineer. This gives you heavy ammo or regular ammo if you're full on heavy. If you're on Summoner, this increases the damage that your minions do. If you're on Archon, this gives you free mod power just for using a relic. The build I have going on in the background is in the background to prove a point. There is a point when healing is too much, and there is no actual reason to go beyond that. It's not like you're actually going to heal yourself more. It's not going to give you relics back faster, even in a co-op perspective, because why do your allies care if you heal 1,000 health per second if they only have 100 health and 50% DR? Sure, it's cool that you can heal that 1,000 health in a second, but when a boss does 200 damage, they're still dead. The only thing you've done in that scenario is make yourself look like an idiot since you have 0 damage. And even then, you're still going to get killed in one hit with most boss attacks because in order to make resonating viable, you've utterly shit your EHP into the ground. I tried every possible variation of a Resonating Heart build. I was not able to tank Annihilation with Spiteful. It did not happen. I tried for 2 hours straight. I could not manage a single kill, and instead I got curb stomped every time due to the inconsistency and unreliability of Resonating Heart. There would be times where it bugged out and it wouldn't heal anymore. Even if I let the timer expire, it would just never heal me again. There would also be times where I'd get rooted, and because of this I'd miss the window to recast Resonating Heart within the last 5 seconds of a 20-second overheal. And because of that I lost my Giga healing, and the result is me getting curb stomped, because even though I had high EHP, I didn't have high enough healing to match it without abusing the exploit for healing windup. In summary though, I have yet to see a single valid point in any build to use Resonating Heart over Crystal. But if you guys can think of any, you are more than welcome to let me know in the comments. If anyone can actually provide any valid use case for Resonating Heart over Crystal, I'll add it to the pinned comment below. And then lastly, just as a closing note, I am positive that I'm going to get some complaint about how I chose to represent data in regards to meaningful healing on the spreadsheet. But
to be completely honest, I do not care.